of the full DASNY board for 2025. We have a medium-sized agenda, so let's get going. Sarah, would you call the roll, please?
Sure, thank you. Here in the New York City office, we have our chair, Lisa Gomez, Jerry Romsky, Beryl Snyder, and Kent Severud. In Albany, we have Christina Coughlin, Ken Evans, and Adrian Swazerski. Remotely joining us is Al Carney, and absent from today's meeting are Joan Sullivan, Janice McKinney, and Elizabeth Velez.
Okay. All right. First order of business, tab 1, the minutes of the November 12th board meeting. Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, may I have a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you.
Moved.
Thank you, Beryl and Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. Motion carries. Moving on to tab 2, the Finance Committee report. Jerry, will you take us through
Thank you,
the
Madam Chair.
transaction?
Yes, we met a few moments ago. We had adopted the meeting minutes from the November meeting of Finance and then advanced to a discussion on the BOCES project. And after a very thorough presentation by Steve, we unanimously recommend that matter be approved, or that offer be approved at today's board meeting. And unless anyone has any questions or concerns, Madam Chair, that will conclude my report for December. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we don't need yet a meeting. We need to approve these here, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
could I have a motion to approve the Finance Committee's recommendation for the BOCES transaction?
So moved.
Kent, great. Second by
So moved.
Al.
I got the on councils.
Yeah. It's approved. It's approved after the bond council.
Oh, okay.
Thing goes,
Okay.
which
got
they're
it.
hard to
Sorry.
see because they're up here.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
see them. All right,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Little technical difficulties today. Tab 3 is Columbia University adoption of documents, transaction report, presenting are Dave Ostrander and co-bond counsel Jay Lee of Drohan Lee LLP, Virginia Wong of Nixon Peabody. I believe they're both on. Can you confirm somebody? Can't quite see.
Good morning.
They're both.
Chris is on
Okay,
for Virginia.
great. Thank you. Take it away.
Hey, good morning, everyone. At the November 12th board meeting, the members adopted a resolution to proceed for the Columbia University financing with an amount not to exceed $295 million with a term not to exceed 35 years. The only update since that time is that PAC approval was received on November 19th and the seeker review was completed on December 9th. There were no other changes to the transaction as described to the board at the November meeting. So at this point, I will turn it over to Chris and Jay, our co-bond counsel, to give an overview of the documents.
Good morning, everybody. Before you for consideration is the adoption of our 4 series resolutions, each authorizing the issuance of bonds under DASNY's amended and restated Columbia University Revenue Bond Resolution, originally adopted in September 2000. Each series resolution authorizes the issuance of up to $295 million of authorized bonds as fixed rate or variable rate, tax-exempt or taxable bonds, but also restricts the aggregate principal amount of authorized bonds that can be issued under the series resolutions to $295 million. The proceeds of the authorized bonds are expected to be used to finance or refinance capital expenditures in various university facilities, including to pay commercial paper notes issued to finance such capital expenditures, refund all or a portion of the authority's Columbia University Revenue Bonds, Subseries 2016A2 and Columbia University Revenue Bonds, Series 2016B, and pay the cost of issuance of the authorized bonds. The current expectation is that the authorized bonds will be issued in 3 series as tax-exempt, unenhanced, fixed-rate bonds. The series resolutions, however, do not limit the discretion of the DASNY's officers to determine to issue the authorized bonds in other configurations than are currently contemplated. The authorized bonds may be issued pursuant to public offering and or private placement. It is expected that the authorized bonds may be publicly offered and sold in a negotiated sale to one or more underwriters represented by an underwriter to be selected by the university in advance of any such public offering. Chris?
Thanks, Jay. Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. The general resolution adopted by DASNY in 2000 for the benefit of the university provides for the issuance from time to time of multiple series of bonds. The authorized bonds are special obligations of DASNY payable solely out of the revenues, which consist of the payments made by the university under the loan agreement. Payment of the authorized bonds is secured by the pledge and assignment made by the general resolution of the revenues and monies and investments held in the funds and accounts established by the general resolution and the series resolutions. The university's obligations under the loan agreement with DASNY are general obligations of the university. In 2020, you authorized additional amendments to the loan agreement, which amendments require the consent of a majority of the bondholders. The purchasers of the authorized bonds will consent to the amendments by virtue of that purchase. The amendments will take effect when the requisite amount of future bonds are issued that provide the consents needed to reach a majority. Depending on the par amount of the authorized bonds issued and the par amount of the bonds to be refunded, it is possible that the amendments will take effect upon the issuance of the authorized bonds. The loan agreement requires the university to make payments in amounts and at times sufficient to make timely payment of its debt service obligations on all outstanding bonds, including the authorized bonds. The university's obligations are not secured by any pledge of revenues or mortgages on or security interested in any property of the university. Each series resolution that Jay talked about earlier delegates to various officers of DASNY the power to make the determinations described in our letter and to do all things necessary or convenient in connection with the sale and issuance of the authorized bonds. In addition, the university will enter into an agreement to provide continuing disclosure in connection with the issuance of any publicly offered authorized bonds. And that concludes our presentation. Happy to answer any questions that folks might have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board regarding the Columbia transaction? Albany? No? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the transaction, please? Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Kent. Coming out for higher ed. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. Motion carries. Great. I'd like to just note that Elizabeth Velez has joined us. We are now one better in the New York City office. Okay, tab 4 is the aforementioned Broome Tioga BOCES single approval transaction that we just discussed, and I prematurely tried to have us vote on. So presenting this are Steve Cozier and co-bond counsels of Hardwick Law and Holly Pearson Farrar.
Thank you. Good morning. The board is being asked to adopt documents for a bond financing on behalf of Broome Tioga BOCES. Staff is requesting authorization for the issuance of one or more series of tax-exempt and/or taxable fixed and/or variable rate bonds with maturities not to exceed 31 years, sold at one or more times in an aggregate amount not to exceed $40 million. The current expectation is that the issuance will be a single series of tax-exempt fixed rate bonds. Voters approved the project and financing in a vote held on November 29th, 2023. Since that time, SED approval has been received and the DASNY seeker review has been completed. Staff is requesting PACB approval on December 22nd. Additional details regarding the financing were presented in the transaction report to the members and presented to the Finance Committee earlier this morning. I'll now turn it over to Natalia and Daniel to provide an overview of the documents.
Thank you, Steve, and good morning to DASNY board members and staff. Today, the board members are being asked to consider and in the board's discretion adopt a series resolution, the Series 2026 resolution, for up to $40 million in the aggregate of Masters BOCES Program Lease Revenue Bonds, Broome Tioga Issue, Series 2026, which, if adopted, would be issued on behalf of the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the Sole Supervisory District of Broome, Tioga, and Delaware Counties, New York, the Broome Tioga BOCES, under DASNY's Master BOCES Program Lease Revenue Bond Resolution, the Master Resolution. The bonds to be issued pursuant to the Series 2026 resolution, the Series 2026 bonds, are proposed to be sold to Roosevelt and Cross, Inc., pursuant to a standard bond purchase agreement. If approved, the Series 2026 resolution authorizes the Series 2026 bonds to, number one, finance A, the construction of improvements and additions to, and reconstruction and renovation of certain buildings, facilities, and sites of Broome Tioga BOCES at its Glenwood Road campus in Binghamton, New York, including site improvements and original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, appurtenances, and incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith. And B, the acquisition of a parcel of land adjacent to the Glenwood Road campus for future use. Number 2, fund the debt service reserve fund and/or pay the cost of acquiring a reserve fund facility with respect to the Series 2026 bonds. And number 3, pay all or a portion of the cost of issuance of the Series 2026 bonds. With that, I will now turn it over to Daniel to discuss certain documents that would be entered into in connection with the project.
Thank you, Natalia, and good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Pursuant to Section 1689 of the Dormitory Authority Act, DASNY is permitted to issue bonds to finance or refinance the cost of constructing Board of Cooperative Educational Services school facilities. Under the Act, DASNY is authorized to become lessee of such facilities under an agreement of lease and to lease back such facilities to BOCES pursuant to a lease and agreement. The agreement of lease from Broome Tioga BOCES to DASNY may be at a nominal fee. The lease and agreement from DASNY to Broome Tioga BOCES must set basic rent in an amount sufficient to pay debt service on any DASNY bonds. The agreement of lease and lease of agreement related to this project as contemplated by the Series 2026 resolution are wholly consistent with Section 1689 of the Act. Under the Act and under a memorandum of understanding to be entered into among DASNY, the New York State Education Department, and the Office of State Comptroller, DASNY shall file a certificate annually with the Commissioner of Education stating all amounts due from Broome Tioga BOCES to DASNY under the lease and agreement previously described. Upon receipt of certification from Commissioner of Education, the State Comptroller is required to deduct the amount certified by the Commissioner as due to DASNY from the state aid otherwise payable to Broome Tioga BOCES and pay that amount directly to DASNY. If the state aid is insufficient, Broome Tioga BOCES will remain obligated under the lease and agreement to pay rent in an amount sufficient to meet debt service requirement of the Series 2026 bonds. In conclusion, the Series 2026 bonds will be special obligations of DASNY's payable solely out of the revenues and the monies and investments held in the funds and accounts established under the Series 2026 resolution, other than any monies and investments held in arbitrage rebate fund. Payments of the Series 2026 bonds is secured by the pledge and assignment made by the Master Resolution of Revenues, certain monies and investments, including the Debt Service Reserve Fund established under the Series 2026 resolution and held under the Master Resolution and DASNY's right thereto. This concludes our presentation. Natalie and I are happy to answer any questions that the board members may have.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that thorough presentation. Does anyone have any questions on Broome Tioga BOCES? I think most of us were here for the Finance Committee, but I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to get their questions answered.
None here.
Okay, great. Thank you. If no questions, could I get a motion to approve the Broome Tioga BOCES single approval financing? Thank you, Al. Second. Thank you, Liz. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. Thank you very much. Next we'll move to tab 5 and Robert, who is on the screen today. Robert, take it over.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. I will start off with an update on our grants related work. So looking at BRICS, our community center grant announcement last week, I was with Governor Hochul at Queens Community House to announce that the 30 awardees of the $100 million New York BRICS grants program announcement. And that program is serving almost 400,000 New Yorkers. And we, through this work, are allowing over 90% of the funding that's awarded to go to underserved communities for new centers and renovations. Queens Community House is one example of the programs that are being supported. They received $5 million to renovate their center, which is in a NYCHA facility and has not received substantial improvements for over 75 years. And the center sees almost 4,000 low-income New Yorkers every year, including 1,300 older adults and 225 after-school and summer camp participants. It's an example of the work that's happening across the state in really supporting communities and allowing them to address affordability issues. We know how much childcare and supportive services are needed to help people literally make it through their day-to-day activities. So we're very proud of that work and very proud of the 30 awardees. We also launched our child care capital construction funding program this week along with OCFS. It's $100 million focusing on grants that will help with the design, construction, reconstruction, renovation, equipment, and other capital assets for not-for-profit or municipal OCFS daycare centers, childcare programs, and New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene group daycare programs. So that is available. The application process is open now. We'll be accepting applications starting in early February. So giving people plenty of time through the holidays to work on their applications. Moving along to construction. Yesterday, I was with Hunter College President Nancy Cantor and the DASNY staff in celebrating the ribbon cutting for the new playground at Hunter College campus schools on East 95th Street. It was a $1.2 million renovation of the elementary school playground, and it's officially open for students as of this past November. So it is a small representation of the many projects that are in our construction portfolio, but even one of $1 million or $1.2 million has a significant impact for the school, for the broader community, and I think just representative of some of the work that we do and why our folks on the construction portfolio work so hard every day to deliver their projects. Also in construction, I want to recognize that the 2025 New York State MWBE Forum was a tremendous success. We're proud to have participated as a sponsor and to deliver remarks on the kickoff reception. I want to recognize Liz Velez, who was an award recipient in that program, and certainly recognize the work that the governor and Empire State Development and Hope Knight and all the folks at ESD are doing there to grow the program. Carrie Torres, our director of OPG, was also there discussing our DASNY projects and officially launching our Mentor Protege program. Also in the construction front, moving on to public finance, want to recognize that some of our work is already taking fruition in terms of construction. The bond transaction that we completed for Rockland BOCES and other BOCES, they actually have broken ground, and this is again building a new building on their campus, the first new building in over 50 years as a result of the $45 million transaction that we approved earlier in the year. The Fox Run transaction for Orchard Park financing, where we issued $67 million in bonds, was successfully completed, and as a result, will begin to serve or expand service for residents of Western New York. We're excited about that transaction, and more to come on that from Portia. And then we also completed our United Health Services Hospital TELP financing. So excited about the TELP program and the continued interest and participation there. We expect our annual report to be completed later on this month, so take a look and stay tuned for that. And I'll take a moment to speak a little bit about our mid-year performance metrics, give folks a sense for where we are thus far. With regards to construction at this point, we've completed 34 full-service projects with over $1 million in value, with 31 of these completed under budget, and 11 of these were schedule critical SUNY housing projects, and all of those were completed in time for student occupancy. On the MWBE participation front for the first half of the year, we're currently logging 31.35%. We achieved 20.20% participation for MBEs, 11.15% for WBEs, and our SDVOB participation level for the first half was 2.26%. So we'll continue to work on that throughout the end of the year. In public finance, we met our days to market goals, 7 out of 9 bond issues for existing clients, 1 bond issue for a new client, 3 out of 4 pooled financings, and 1 state-supported debt financing. And the financings that fell outside of the benchmark goals were delayed to changes or approvals that were outside of DASNY's control. And it's our belief that all the bonds were fairly priced with regards to their secondary market performance. And then just in terms of in-house, as of September 30th, we employed 517 permanent salaried employees. Of these employees, 434 possess an undergraduate degree, 129 possess a graduate or advanced degree, and 115 employees possess a total of 161 professional certifications and licenses. And employees received a total of over 8,000 hours of training, including professional development. So to bring us to a wrap in terms of employee engagement, I want to, of course, recognize that there are holiday activities. There's certainly one today in the New York office. So if members would like to participate, the employees are having a gathering in the afternoon. And on the 18th, there will be a holiday gathering in Albany in the morning of. So members are always welcome. But taking the moment to also recognize that DASNY has also I would say, in terms of employee engagement and activities, been extraordinarily generous in terms of their time and efforts for the holidays. We had 5 employees who have volunteered and gone to Ronald McDonald House and to donate time and prepare meals for those who need it. We have also had dozens of DASNY employees who are volunteering during the holiday season at the Regional Food Bank for Northeastern New York. We have an ongoing Toys for Tots drive happening at all of our offices. And DASNY is also participating in the 3rd annual Fill the Truck competition to help support local food pantries. So very excited. Many of these activities are employee organized and led, and just demonstrates their commitment to the community and their sense of giving during this holiday season. I would say that the media coverage has really focused on bricks and some of our related activities. The Seeker report is attached, then as is the monthly grant report for your consideration. So moving on to the next item in the president's report is a resolution for board consideration with regards to dissolving the Healthcare Transformation Reserve Fund and transferring the balance of said funds to the Evolution Reserve Fund. In the resolution, you will see that the final expenditures from the Healthcare Transformation Fund was made in 2023. We expect no additional expenses will be paid from this fund, leaving a balance of $3.4 million. We're recommending that the Evolution Reserve Fund, which we established in 2016 to pay certain costs in connection with the succession planning and knowledge transfer activities, as well as business improvement opportunities, be the recipient of said funds. So the Evolution Fund continues to fund various efforts in connection with these initiatives. So the recommendation would be to transfer it there, and we'll certainly discuss future uses for those activities later on in the year.
Okay. Great. I spoke a little bit to Robert, earlier this week on sort of the consolidation of the reserves, and it seemed to make, sense, but I want to give everybody a chance to ask questions or get further clarity on sort of the reasoning behind it. Anybody?
It seems like the other
Madam
fund
Chair,
is sort of run its.
Wait, one
course.
sec, Al. I got Jerry, get
No, I
Jerry
said
going.
It seems like the initial fund has sort of run its course and there's no reason to keep any money in that fund. And so we're reallocating it for
Consolidated.
our own
Yeah,
business judgment reasons, right?
exactly. Okay. Al? I think it was Al. Was it Al that was asking a question? Al, if you're talking, you're on mute, I think.
sorry. Yes, I'm not questioning the wisdom of it. I'm just not sure I understand why it's necessary to put the funds together. What do we, how do we benefit?
So the evolution, well, first, initially, the healthcare restructuring fund was used for expenses related to the interfaith transaction, and those are no longer necessary. So one is there's utilizing this pot of money for something more effective. The evolution reserve is one that we have been utilizing for restructuring, succession planning, and ensuring that we can maintain a competitive multiplier in terms of future business costs and expenses. So I think that's a more effective use of those funds at this point to allow us to continue to move ahead with our restructuring efforts, certainly as they relate to CUNY and some other clients, and making sure that we can maintain competitive in terms of some of our ongoing costs and expenses. So the application and utilization of those in the Evolution Fund, certainly will help us support our business purposes more so than it relying dormant in a different
Understood.
fund that's not going to be utilized.
Understood,
is it-
Robert. I just want to make sure, the question I'm asking is, do we have any currently planned uses for the healthcare money in that bucket?
Correct. None at this point. The last expense was incurred in 23, and we expect no further activity from there.
Fair enough. That's all I
So,
needed.
so it's really about consolidation, flexibility, and why keep reserves that are kind of dead because the project is sort of over.
And we have the legal authority to do that, right? We have the ability to shift our own
Yep.
purposes.
Okay.
And
Any
a
other
reminder,
questions?
doesn't change any policies, any utilization of those funds beyond a certain point must come back to the board,
Right.
for approval. So
Correct. So it's really just to give the flexibility subject to board oversight.
And the interfaith, was completed years and years and years ago, and we built some affordable housing there. Yeah. Well, DASNY didn't, but we participated in the.
Right. Okay, any other questions?
None
Could
here.
we ask for a resolution to approve the transfer of funds from the healthcare? Sorry, I forget what it's called, the healthcare improvement, is that what it's called? Transformation reserve to the
Evolution.
evolution reserve.
of a
We're not
nice name.
transforming, we're
It's a
evolving.
great name, by the way. Whoever thought of that, I give it.
Okay.
So moved.
So thank you, Liz. Thank you, Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Robert.
great, that concludes the report. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Thank you very much.
President.
Happy holidays to you, Robert. Next up is Portia, the Public Finance and Portfolio Monitoring Review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Included in the members' materials are the standard public finance reports. Since the last board meeting, we priced the cerebral palsy financing, and that financing will close next week. Just one note on that financing, it was pretty small. It was $17.8 million tax exempt, $5.3 million taxable. And a lot of times, honestly, the small deals are a challenge to price because they're so small. And I have to say the underwriter here did a great job. The deal was overall 2.7 times oversubscribed, which was really kind of a sweet spot. Maturities, and was from 1 time subscribed to 6 times subscribed. And we got reductions in yield commensurate with the oversubscription level. So, really nice job. I think everybody's really pleased with
Well
that.
done.
Just one other note in terms of volume, calendar year to date, we've done 22 deals totaling 11.26 billion. We report our numbers on a fiscal year basis, but just given that it is the end of the calendar year, just thought I would just mention that to the board. Certainly busy year. So thank you all for your support. Brief market update. Total year-to-date issuance volume for 2025 is approximately 578.2 billion, up from last year's volume of approximately 527.9 billion, and that was a record last year. So, volume is up. This week, primary issuance is expected to total about 10 billion. Municipal bond flows saw inflows last year, and total year-to-date inflows totaled about 48.2 billion. On Tuesday, AAA MMD yields were unchanged, with the 10-year and the 30-year holding steady at 2.77 and 4.21 respectively. U.S. government bond yields were mixed, with the 10-year Treasury increasing by 1 basis point to 4.18, and the 30-year Treasury decreasing by 1 basis point to 4.80. Since the November 12th board meeting, the 1-year MMD rate has decreased by 6 basis points, 10-year increased by 2, and 30-year increased by 7 basis points. During that same time period, the 10-year Treasury yield increased by 5 basis points, 30-year increased by 9 basis points. I would also mention that included in the members' materials are bond sales summaries. There were 4 of them: Rockland BOCES, Mount Sinai, NYU, and Roswell Park. You will obviously see all of those compiled together at the end of the year when we give you the annual bond sale report. But included in those reports are performance metrics, which are tied back to the report that Robert gave earlier in terms of our metrics. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you to you and your team for stewarding this first half of the year through a volatile time. Great. Next up, we have Kim and the financial report, quarterly investment report, and mid-year update of the financial plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Included in your packets are the standing monthly financial report and the quarterly treasurer's report with highlights. Unless there's any specific questions, I'll defer comments on the monthly financial report for the mid-year financial update. But before I move on to that, I just want to highlight a couple of items from the quarterly investment report. The investment portfolio decreased by approximately 800 million, primarily due to the use of amounts previously provided by the state to defease bonds, payments to bondholders, and construction expenditures offset by new money bond issuances. Newly added to the report this quarter are the listing of approximately 117 million of tax-exempt municipal bonds, which were purchased in connection with the economic defeasance of certain sales tax and PIT bonds. Turning to the broker-dealer report results on the last page of the report, we had a great quarter for MWBE participation, where over 43% or 1.6 billion in trades via phone solicitation went to an MWBE firm, with another 8% or 312 million going to SDVOBs. On the electronic trading side, we awarded just under 40% or 371 million to MWBEs, with just over 1% or 11 million to SDVOBs. Any questions before I move on to the mid-year report?
That's a great outcome, Kim.
Thank you. Also included in your materials is our current projected financial results for this fiscal year. As noted in the memo, our internal operating expenses are projected to come in 1.2 million over budget due to the previously reported overruns in salary. Overall, 25-26 operating expenses, which includes pass-through items, is projected to come in 1.2 million over budget, with the operating surplus expected to be 1.1 million higher than the adopted 25-26 budget. I'll now turn it over to Jeff Arnold, our Director of Budget and Operations, who will walk through in more detail some of the highlights.
Thanks, Kim. So this update is part of the annual budget process required under the Public Authorities Reform Act of 2009. The board is not currently being asked to take any action on the budget, so this is strictly an update. Kim mentioned a few of the impacts, but I'll go over in more detail. Salary expenses are projected to come in $2.3 million over budget this year. When I was developing the 25-26 budget, we used the 24-25 actual salary expenses as a starting point and assumed that attrition would be consistent with historical actuals. Attrition's been a bit slower, which I would say is a good thing organizationally. We've successfully filled positions, and that's kind of the cause of the overrun here. So I'll say my fault, I didn't budget enough on salaries. Benefit costs are actually projected to come in slightly under budget, about $500,000, with minimal savings projected for retirement expenses and health insurance. Maintenance and operation expenses are projected to be $0.7 million under budget, with expenses such as corporate insurance, professional services, and computer services, all projected to come in slightly under budget. As Kim mentioned, overall internal operating expenses are projected to be $1.2 million over budget, and our pass-through expenses are expected to remain consistent with the adopted budget. The projected surplus that Kim mentioned of increase of $1.1 million was primarily due to increases in private client financing and administrative fees due to an increased volume of transactions, which I'm sure the board is aware of. We are in the process of developing the 2026-27 proposed budget, which will be submitted to the board by December 31st, as required under the Public Authorities Law, and presented at the January 2026 board meeting. We anticipate asking the board to adopt the 2026-27 operating budget at the March 2026 board meeting. And I'm happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
Anybody questions? Albany? New York City? Great. Just because we don't have questions doesn't mean we're not appreciative of all this financial diligence. Great. Thank you so much, Kim and Jeff. Next, we'll turn it over to Steve and the construction report.
Thank you. Good morning. The update for the most recent period, we have 3 new projects added into the construction portfolio, 2 for OMH, 1 for CUNY. Total project value of the 3 is $37.4 million. We had 1 project added to the report, which means its project value increased above the $5 million threshold. That was for the Rochester Psych Center for OMH. Its value is $7.8 million. We completed 5 projects during the reporting period, 3 for CUNY, 2 at Baruch College, 1 at Queens, 1 for OMH at Hutchings Psych Center in Syracuse, and 1 for OPWDD up in Sunmount. Total value of the projects was $91.7 million. As far as expenditures go, for the period ending October 2024, we were at $520 million. For October 2025, the period ending, we're at $731 million. That's a net increase in expenditures of $211 million year over year. So we will definitely be breaking the $1 billion threshold for this fiscal year. On the cover of the construction report is a project for OMH that completed in September. It was for the Central New York Psych Center. In addition, it was in addition to the Storehouse Building number 108. We added 26,000 square feet of space for them, a number of different offices, plan rooms, file storage, and a bunch of shops, carpentry, welding, electrical, plumbing, and a locksmith shop. There's also an automotive garage, a paint booth, and a signage shop. It was designed by JMZ Architects. The project budget was around $13 million. We completed design in February of 23. BB Construction Services was the contractor, and we completed construction in September of this year. DASNY was the CM. Just a couple of updates on programs for SUNY. We continue with design activities for the design build project at SUNY Binghamton. That's the new 350-bed design build residence hall. We're closing in on contracting with a design build firm for the new 200-bed SUNY Cortland project. And we're actively working on summer 2026 SUNY summer activity. We have 18 summer projects in various stages of the project lifecycle. The value of those projects is approximately $30 million. As far as CUNY goes, we had a meeting with the Vice Chancellor last Thursday, December 4th. Continued to talk about the forecasting gap for Q2 on the spend. We are also getting updated numbers for October, November, and soon to be December, which we'll discuss as the quarter closes out. Still lots of activity for CUNY. We're up to 86 new projects for this calendar year. About $200 million worth of project value there. We continue to work on just, advancing project efficiencies between the two organizations. We will be forecasting for the 26-27 fiscal year spend. That effort will kick off in January. We'll try to do better this year on the forecasting. The balance between CUNY managed and DASNY managed projects is now 50-50. There was some concern earlier in the year, but our numbers are creeping up. We're trying to get to where CUNY wants us to be, but they assign the projects, which is 60-40, 60% DASNY, 40% CUNY. So working on that. As far as OMH and OPW, we continue to work on the parking garage here at the Capital District Psych Center. Foundation work continues. At the Mid-Hudson Psych Center, we're finishing up structural steel erection. That should finish in December of this year. Western New York Children's, we're working on the repair packages for the gymnasium and working toward selecting a strategy for the repair of the new addition. Just a note to the board, back in 2020, October 2020, the board approved a request by OMH to utilize a project labor agreement for the Central New York Psych Center renovations of buildings 39 and 77. The project was segregated into 3 phases. Bid package 1, or phase 1, was advertised as a design bid build project back in May of 2001. We received 2 bids, but we completed the project under a PLA using a single prime GC delivery method. The second phase, bid package 2, was advertised under the same design bid build delivery method, including a PLA in May of 23. No bids were received. The package was advertised for a second time under the same delivery method with a PLA in September of 23. Once again, no bids were received. A third attempt was made under a multiple prime Wix delivery method without the PLA. The board was advised accordingly in January of 2024. Although we did receive mechanical, electrical, and plumbing participation, modest at that, the general construction trade package again received no bids. So DASNY is now out for a 4th attempt to bid the project. This attempt uses a new alternative delivery method approach, CM Build. The CM Build alternative delivery method is now available to DASNY on OMH projects. That said, the CM Build is only allowed alongside a project labor agreement, so we are moving back to utilizing a project labor agreement on this 4th attempt. So we wanted the board to know that that was happening. We have surveyed.
Have we revised the PLA, Steve?
Again?
We can't.
I didn't hear what you said, Jerry, sorry.
Did we revise the PLA?
No, we did not revise the PLA. So the PLA was supposed to be used for all 3 phases. We're just trying to get participation really any way we possibly can. Hence, design bid build with the PLA, then going away from the PLA, now going away from design bid build. But we need the PLA under the current legislative language for this project. We did not change out the PLA. We talked to the building trades out there. They understand what's going on. We are in the bid restricted period as we speak, but we just wanted the board to know, since you approved the PLAs, that we've alternated from using one to not using one, going back to using one.
And
And Steve,
interject
that
to
is,
you, please,
that all
CM
goes
Bill.
to the method of procurement, right?
Correct.
Right. it
Correct.
changed.
The latest legislative language says that if we use CM Build as an alternative delivery approach, we do need a PLA. We're back to using the original PLA.
Is
The
it
hope
a
is the new
dearth?
delivery method.
Sorry, go ahead, Charlie, or whoever was.
Hopeful that your delivery method of CM Build makes a big difference in the response.
Is it a dearth of general contractor people there? What's, or size? Like what's driving the lack of interest?
Or contract language. There's
Yeah.
something.
There's something that's not working.
And what's not working in our favor is the amount of work in central New York. There's
Ah.
just a ton of work there right
People are
now.
busy and they don't want to bother with this. That makes sense.
That's fair to say.
Does it?
You know, it's a renovation,
I'll give an exemption.
a renovation project in an occupied forensic psychiatric hospital. That comes with its share of times that the contractor can work and certain work requirements that go along with working in this facility. So I think there have been a number of forces working against us, but I think we're hopeful this time. We've done a number of different things associated with rebidding the project, and CM Build is one of them. And we're, like Charlie said, we're hopeful we will get some participation this time around.
Okay, 4 times the charm.
Can I ask a question, Steve? Just going back, why, it's a little hard to hear here. Why does CUNY want to get to 60-40? I mean, is there something embedded there that I didn't understand that from the materials?
You mean the split
Oh,
between
yeah,
CUNY and SUNY?
Yeah, I think they feel that they can only deliver 40% of the portfolio. And DASNY's better positioned from a procurement standpoint and a kind of experience with these projects standpoint to deliver above what they can. So they would rather we do 60, they do 40.
Thank you.
So it's really, would you say, Steve, it's capacity on their side that's driving it?
Very much so, yes.
Great. Anything else, Steve?
Just quickly on the DOH lab, we continue to bid packages for the $1.7 billion lab. We've had a fair amount of success to date. We are out to bid currently with packages for elevators, HVAC equipment, roofing, masonry, and fire protection. The project is very active at this time. Lots of trades on site today between site work, foundations, and all the work associated with pre-con for the other packages, but it is moving along pretty well. Just a couple of quick administrative things. On the recruitment front, we still have 19 open recruitments for 29 FTE positions. I talked about interns last time. Upcoming, we've got an AGC conference that we're attending this week. We have the ACEC Winter Conference and the SUNY and IAPA Conference in February of 26. That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you so much. Any further questions for Steve? No? Great. Thank you. Okay. May I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the financial credit history of particular corporation, matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation or pending or current litigation?
So moved.
Thank you, Jerry and Liz. You can fight over who first did and
I'll
seconded.
defer to the-
There we go.
Okay.
All right, Nancy, can you stop recording and move the, just Albany?
Sure. So thank you, Liz. Thank you, Beryl.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor? Aye. No one's
Aye.
opposed. We are adjourned. Thank you.
And I know everybody celebrates the holiday, and I hope everybody has a good time. I'm a Christmas celebrant.